First contact and rising tensions. The quantum beacon pulsed rhythmically on Captain Sarah Chen's holographic display, its signal reaching across vast stretches of space. She stood aboard the Earth science vessel Curiosity, her hands clasped behind her back as she watched the incoming data stream. After 3 decades of searching, humanity had finally detected signs of advanced alien civilization. Signal analysis complete, Captain. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across the neural interface. It's definitely artificial. The energy signature matches nothing in our database. Sarah nodded, her expression thoughtful. Humanity had spent the last century preparing for this moment. While the public believed Earth was still taking its first tentative steps into space, the truth was far different. Deep within the asteroid belt and beneath the ice sheets of Europa, humanity had built something unprecedented. The alien vessel appeared without warning, dropping out of what looked like liquid space. It was beautiful in its alienness, all sweeping curves and crystalline surfaces that seemed to drink in starlight. A ship dwarfed the Curiosity, its hull adorned with symbols that pulsed with internal light. Incoming transmission, Rodriguez announced. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. The holographic display shimmed, resolving into a figure that made Sarah's breath catch. The alien was tall and elegant, with iridescent scales and eyes that held ancient wisdom. When it spoke, the universal translator rendered its words in crisp English. I am Ambassador Vexthor of the Drachnid Empire. Your presence has been noted, young species. Know that you now enter the domain of the First Lords of Creation. Sarah straightened, years of diplomatic training kicking in. I am Captain Sarah Chen of Earth. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. The ambassador's expression shifted subtly. Earth, yes, we have observed your kind's rapid advancement. Most interesting. The Empress will want to speak with representatives of your world. Over the next several months, humanity learned about their place in a vast galactic community. The Drachnid Empire had ruled for 50,000 years, guiding what they considered lesser species toward civilization. They viewed themselves as benevolent shepherds, but Sarah saw the truth in their carefully chosen words and subtle demands. This was no federation of equals. It was an empire built on carefully controlled technological advancement and cultural submission. Back on Earth, the Security Council met in emergency session. Admiral James Harper, commander of humanity's hidden fleet, presented his assessment. They're scanning our system constantly, looking for signs of military capability. So far, our quantum camouflage is holding. They think we're barely past fusion drives and basic AI. Diana Wright, Earth's chief diplomat, leaned forward. The Drachnids are becoming increasingly insistent about guiding our development. Their latest communication strongly suggested we should abandon certain research directions, particularly in quantum mechanics and artificial gravity. Of course they did, Harper growled. They've seen how fast we're advancing. They're worried we'll discover their technological secrets independently. What they don't realize is we already have. The truth was, humanity had made a quantum leap in technology 30 years ago. The discovery of the Klein-Morrison field had revolutionized their understanding of space-time manipulation. While the Drachnids used massive amounts of energy to tear holes in space, humanity had learned to whisper to the quantum fabric of reality itself. This breakthrough had led to the construction of the Aegis fleet, 200 supercarriers hidden throughout the solar system, each powered by technology that the Drachnids would consider impossible. The ships were artificial intelligences unto themselves, capable of computing combat solutions faster than thought and implementing strategies that bordered on prescience. As Sarah's report on the Drachnid Empire was discussed, it became clear that humanity faced a choice. They could submit to Drachnid oversight, accepting their place as a developing species, or they could stand firm and risk conflict with an empire that spanned 1,000 worlds. The decision was interrupted by an urgent communication from the Curiosity. New Drachnid vessels had entered the system, warships this time, their weapons barely concealed behind diplomatic protocols. The message they carried was clear. Earth would accept its place in the natural order, or face the consequences. Humanity had spent generations preparing for first contact, building in secret and advancing their technology far beyond what anyone suspected. Now, as the Drachnid warships took up position around Earth's orbital lanes, that preparation would be put to the test. The game of shadows was about to end. The only question was, who would make the first move? The hidden fleet. Deep within Europa's ice-covered ocean, the Aegis Command Center hummed with activity. Through quantum-linked displays, Admiral Harper watched his fleet, humanity's greatest achievement and best-kept secret. The supercarrier Atlas emerged from its underground dock, its dark hull seeming to bend light around it. Final systems check complete, reported Commander Yuki Tanaka, her hands moving through holographic control interfaces. All 200 carriers report quantum cores at optimal efficiency. Each supercarrier represented the pinnacle of human achievement, a 15-kilometer-long titan that could think for itself. Unlike the brute force approach of Drachnid ships, which relied on massive energy expenditure and crews of thousands, human vessels were elegant solutions to the problems of space warfare. "Show me the Drachnid patrol patterns," Harper ordered. The holographic display shifted, showing the alien warships that had taken up position around Earth. They maintained their facade of diplomatic presence, but their weapon systems remained charged. The supercarriers' true power lay in their quantum cores, artificial hearts that could manipulate the fabric of reality itself. While Drachnid ships needed to tear holes in space for FTL travel, human vessels slipped between the quantum threads of the universe like needles through silk. Their weapons didn't rely on plasma or kinetic energy, but on precisely calculated alterations to local space-time. "Admiral," called out Lieutenant Sarah Chen, now transferred from the Curiosity to Aegis Command. "We're detecting increased communication between the Drachnid vessels and their home system. Their encryption is complex, but our quantum AIs are making progress." Harper nodded. The Drachnids still believed they were dealing with a primitive species, one barely capable of interplanetary travel. They had no idea that human quantum computers had already broken their supposedly unbreakable codes. The decoded messages painted a disturbing picture. The Drachnid Empire was mobilizing, preparing to guide Earth toward its proper place in the galactic hierarchy. Their definition of guidance, however, looked remarkably like subjugation. In the depths of Mars' Valles Marineris, production facilities worked tirelessly, churning out autonomous defense platforms and quantum-linked fighter squadrons. Each supercarrier could deploy thousands of these fighters, all controlled by advanced AI that could react faster than organic pilots. "Message from the Security Council," Tanaka announced. "The Drachnid ambassador is demanding an inspection of our military capabilities. They're citing concerns about unauthorized technological development." Harper's expression hardened. "They're getting nervous. Our quantum masking is perfect. They can't detect our fleet, but they know something's not right. We're advancing too quickly for their comfort." The real question was whether to maintain the deception or reveal humanity's true strength. The Aegis fleet represented a paradigm shift in warfare. Each carrier could generate quantum fields that negated enemy weapons, while their own weapons could rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas. "New intelligence from our deep space probes," Chen reported. "The Drachnids are mobilizing their 7th fleet, over 3,000 warships, all heading toward our sector." Harper studied the tactical display. The Drachnid ships were impressive. Massive constructs of crystalline alloys and energy weapons. But they were also predictable, relying on technologies and tactics that had remained largely unchanged for millennia. In contrast, the Aegis fleet was designed to be adaptable. The quantum cores allowed the ships to reconfigure themselves in real time, changing their properties and capabilities to match any situation. The fleet's AI could run millions of combat simulations per second, developing and refining strategies faster than any organic mind. "They think they're being subtle," Harper mused, watching the Drachnid patrol patterns, moving their ships into position under the guise of protective oversight. They have no idea what they're walking into. The Admiral stood before the quantum display, his mind already working through potential scenarios. The Drachnids thought they were dealing with children playing with toys they didn't understand. They were about to discover that humanity had not only understood the toys but had reinvented them entirely. "Begin final combat simulations," Harper ordered. "I want every ship and every AI ready for any possibility. When the Drachnids make their move, we'll be ready." In the vast chambers beneath Europa's ice, the Supercarriers waited. Their quantum cores pulsed with contained power, their AI systems ran endless battle scenarios, and their weapons remained primed but hidden. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, building a fleet that could stand against any aggressor. The Drachnids were about to learn that sometimes the species you come to guide has already surpassed you. They just hadn't shown their hand yet. Imperial Ultimatum. The Grand Hall of the United Earth Government fell silent as the Drachnid hologram materialized. Empress Infuriated herself had chosen to deliver the message, her scaled form towering over the assembled human representatives. Her eyes, like pools of liquid mercury, surveyed the chamber with barely concealed disdain. "People of Earth," her voice resonated through quantum translators. "Your species' recent activities have caused considerable concern among the elder races. We have observed your increasingly aggressive technological development with growing unease." Diana Wright, Earth's chief diplomat, stood calmly before the projection. Behind her diplomatic poise, quantum communicators relayed every word to Admiral Harper and the hidden Aegis Command. The Empress continued, each word dripping with manufactured concern. "In the past solar cycle alone, you have attempted quantum research far beyond your designated development level. Such unchecked advancement threatens the stability of entire sectors. The natural order must be maintained." In the Europa Command Center, Admiral Harper watched the transmission with his senior staff. Commander Tanaka's hands tightened on her console as the Empress's true message became clear. "Therefore, by the authority of the Drachnid Empire, sanctioned by the Council of Elder Races, we present you with a choice." The Empress's form seemed to grow larger, filling the chamber with her presence. "Submit to immediate technological oversight and integration into the Empire's developmental program, or face the consequences of your defiance." The hologram shifted, showing massive Drachnid war fleets moving through space. "The 7th Fleet approaches your system, accompanied by integration specialists and compliance officers. They will arrive within 5 planetary rotations. You have until then to submit your formal acceptance of Imperial guidance." Diana Wright's voice remained steady as she responded. "And if we decline this generous offer of guidance?" The Empress's lips curved in what might have been a smile on a human face. "Then we will be forced to provide guidance through more direct means. Your orbital infrastructure will be disabled. Your centers of technological development will be neutralized. Your population will be preserved, but your civilization will be reset to a more appropriate level of advancement." In the hidden command center, Harper received an urgent signal. The quantum sensors had detected massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. The Drachnid fleet wasn't waiting 5 days. They were already here. "Multiple quantum ruptures detected," reported Lieutenant Chen. "They're dropping out of FTL at the Kuiper Belt. 3,000 ships and counting." The Empress's hologram continued, unaware of the humans' detection of her fleet's early arrival. "Understand that this is not a negotiation. The natural order must be preserved. Lesser species must be guided by their betters. This is the way it has always been." Diana Wright straightened, her expression unchanged. "And if we believe we are capable of guiding ourselves, then you will learn, as others have learned, the price of defiance." The Empress's form shimmered. "You have 5 rotations. Choose wisely." As the hologram faded, the chamber erupted in controlled chaos. The Security Council immediately convened in their quantum-shielded chamber, while diplomatic channels buzzed with activity. In Europa Command, Admiral Harper watched the Drachnid fleets approach on his tactical display. Their formation was impressive, a wall of crystalline warships stretching across the solar system, designed to intimidate and overwhelm. "They're not waiting for our response," Harper noted grimly. "This isn't an ultimatum. It's a prelude to invasion. They're positioning themselves to strike as soon as the deadline passes." Commander Tanaka's voice was tight with controlled anger. "They'd really believe we're helpless, that we'll either submit or be crushed." "Because that's what's always happened before," Harper replied. "Every emerging species they've encountered has either accepted their guidance or been forced back into their pre-industrial age." The quantum displays showed more Drachnid ships arriving every minute. Their fleet was a testament to their power, the accumulated might of 50,000 years of unopposed dominion. "Sir," Chen called out, decoded transmission from the Drachnid flagship. "They're discussing preliminary targets, orbital stations, power grids, major population centers. They're planning to hit everything simultaneously." Harper studied the tactical projections, his mind already working through combat scenarios. The Drachnids had positioned themselves perfectly for fighting a primitive species. Their formation had gaps and weaknesses that would be fatal against an advanced opponent. "Send word to the Security Council," Harper ordered. "The Drachnids aren't planning to wait 5 days. Recommend immediate implementation of Protocol Omega." As the message was sent, Harper turned to his crew. "Begin quiet deployment. Move our ships into position, but maintain quantum masking. When the Drachnids make their move, I want them to suddenly find themselves surrounded by the very thing they fear most, a species that's surpassed them." Throughout the solar system, hidden doors opened in asteroids and beneath planetary ice sheets. The supercarriers of the Aegis fleet slipped silently into position, their quantum cores humming with contained power. The Drachnids thought they were springing a trap on a primitive species. They were about to discover that they had walked into one instead. Humanity's response. Admiral Harper stood on the bridge of the Atlas, humanity's flagship supercarrier, as the deadline approached. The Drachnid fleet had finished their deployment. A vast web of warships stretched across the solar system. Their weapons were charged, their shields raised, waiting for the order to begin their pacification of Earth. "All carriers report ready," Commander Tanaka announced, her voice steady. "Quantum cores synchronized. Battle AI systems online." The Drachnid flagship transmitted again, Empress Infuriated hologram appearing on bridges across Earth's defense fleet, the small visible fleet of conventional ships that the aliens had been monitoring. "Your time has expired," the Empress declared. "Your silence is taken as rejection of our generous offer. Prepare for—" "Before you continue, Your Majesty," Harper interrupted, his voice calm, "I believe it's time we showed you something." At his signal, 200 quantum cores activated simultaneously. Throughout the solar system, space itself seemed to ripple as the Aegis fleet dropped their masking fields. The supercarriers appeared like ghosts materializing from nothing, each one larger than the Drachnid flagship. The Empress's hologram flickered, her mercurial eyes widening as sensor data reached her. What is this deception?" "Not deception, Your Majesty. Preparation." Harper smiled. "Did you really think humanity would reach for the stars without being ready for what we might find?" The Atlas's quantum core pulsed, sending waves of energy that the Drachnid sensors couldn't even comprehend. Around the solar system, other carriers did the same, creating a complex web of quantum fields that began to isolate and contain sections of the Drachnid fleet. "Impossible," the Empress hissed. "Your species cannot have this level of technology." "Our observations saw exactly what we wanted you to see," Harper finished. "While you watched our public space program, our real advancement happened in secret. We knew we weren't alone in the universe. We knew someone would eventually come to guide us. So we prepared." The Drachnid fleet began to react, ships turning to bring weapons to bear. But they were already caught in the quantum fields, their energy weapons distorting harmlessly against local space-time distortions that the carriers had created. "You dare," the Empress snarled. "You dare to challenge the natural order. The full might of the Drachnid Empire will." "We'll do nothing," Harper cut in. "Look at your tactical displays, Your Majesty. Really look." The human supercarriers had taken position in a complex three-dimensional pattern, their quantum cores working in concert. Each Drachnid squadron was now effectively isolated, caught in bubbles of altered spacetime where their weapons would be useless. "Your ships are currently trapped in localized quantum fields," Harper explained. "Your FTL drives can't function. Your weapons can't penetrate the fields. You can't even communicate with each other except through the channels we permit." To demonstrate, the Atlas generated a small quantum singularity near a Drachnid cruiser. The alien vessel's energy weapons fired, but the shots twisted around the distorted space, harmlessly dissipating. "This is your only warning," Harper continued. "The Aegis fleet represents just one aspect of humanity's advancement. We have no desire for conquest or domination. Unlike your empire, we believe each species should develop in its own way, at its own pace." On the quantum displays, the Drachnid ships hung motionless, their mighty weapons rendered impotent by technology they couldn't understand. The Empress's hologram flickered again, her composure cracking as she realized the true situation. "You have two choices," Harper said, echoing the Empress's earlier ultimatum. "Withdraw your fleet and recognize Earth as a sovereign, independent power, or—" he paused, letting the implications sink in, "or discover exactly how far humanity has advanced while you weren't watching." Throughout the solar system, the Supercarriers' quantum cores pulsed in synchronization, their AI systems calculating millions of possible combat scenarios per second. Each ship was a testament to human ingenuity, not just in their technology, but in their very conception. While the Drachnids had built bigger versions of the same ships for millennia, humanity had reimagined space warfare entirely. "The choice is yours, Your Majesty," Harper concluded, "but choose carefully. The next few moments will determine whether today is remembered as the beginning of a new understanding between our peoples, or as the day the Drachnid Empire learned they are no longer the most advanced civilization in this part of space." The Empress's hologram stared at Harper, her ancient eyes meeting his. In that moment, the balance of power in the galaxy hung by a thread. The next move would either lead to peace or to a war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. And humanity was ready for either outcome. Battle for the stars. For what felt like an eternity, silence reigned across the solar system. The Drachnid fleet hung motionless in their quantum cages, while humanity's supercarriers maintained their defensive formation. On the Atlas's bridge, Admiral Harper waited patiently as Empress Xalthira processed the complete reversal of her expectations. The silence broke with weapons fire. A Drachnid dreadnought, ignoring the futility, unleashed its main gun at the Atlas. The energy beam, powerful enough to crack a planet, twisted through the quantum field and dissipated harmlessly into subspace. "The Drachnid Empire does not yield to lesser species," the Empress declared, her voice cold with fury. "All ships, engage. Show these upstarts the price of defiance." Harper sighed. "So be it. All carriers, initiate Protocol Helios. Minimal casualties if possible." The battle that followed would be studied for centuries to come. The Drachnid fleet, for all its power and numbers, found itself fighting an enemy that seemed to bend reality itself. The human supercarriers didn't just fight. They rewrote the rules of combat with every engagement. When Drachnid ships fired their weapons, quantum fields redirected the energy back into space. When they tried to coordinate their attacks, they found their communications twisted through temporal loops, their orders arriving hours after they were sent. Their shields, designed to withstand conventional weapons, proved useless against weapons that simply altered the space they occupied. Multiple Drachnid squadrons attempting to break formation, Commander Tanaka reported. "Their coordination is breaking down." The Atlas's battle AI displayed the chaos spreading through the enemy fleet. Some ships tried to retreat, only to find their FTL drives couldn't penetrate the quantum barriers. Others attempted suicide runs, but found themselves gently redirected by localized spacetime distortions. "Your Majesty," Harper addressed the increasingly agitated Empress, "you're losing ships and crew for no gain. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your tactics cannot outmaneuver us. End this before it becomes a pointless waste of life." A Drachnid battlecruiser exploded, its reactor destabilized not by weapons fire, but by a precise quantum manipulation that temporarily altered the laws of physics within its engine room. The crew had already been evacuated by human quantum transport technology. "Impossible," the Empress whispered, watching her mighty fleet rendered helpless. "We are the first lords of creation. We have guided the galaxy for 50,000 years. We cannot be." "Times change," Harper replied simply. "The student can surpass the teacher. The child can outgrow the parent. That's the natural order you claim to protect." Throughout the solar system, the battle, if it could even be called that, continued to demonstrate the gulf between Drachnid and human technology. The Supercarriers moved with impossible grace, their quantum cores working in perfect harmony to contain and neutralize the alien fleet with minimal loss of life. "Empress," Diana Wright's voice cut in, the diplomat speaking from Earth, "this doesn't have to end in destruction. Humanity doesn't seek to dominate or control. We offer something your empire has forgotten how to give. Respect. Respect for the right of species to develop in their own way, to find their own path among the stars." On the tactical display, more Drachnid ships were powering down, their crews realizing the futility of their situation. The mighty Seventh Fleet, pride of the Empire, had been reduced to floating helplessly in space without a single human casualty. Finally, the Empress spoke again, her voice carrying the weight of a civilization forced to confront its own hubris. 3,000 ships. The finest fleet in the Empire, defeated without a single loss. How? How did you advance so far without us knowing? "Because we knew we had to," Harper answered. "Humanity has always understood that we weren't alone in the universe. We knew that when we reached for the stars, we needed to be ready for anything, including the possibility that the first aliens we met might not have our best interests at heart." The quantum cores pulsed again, and the field holding the Drachnid ships began to shift. "We're creating a corridor back to your territory," Harper explained. "You can leave in peace, taking with you the knowledge that Earth is not a primitive world to be guided, but an equal to be respected." Hours later, as the last Drachnid ship disappeared into FTL, humanity celebrated not just a victory, but a transformation. They had revealed themselves to the galaxy not through conquest or submission, but by demonstrating that advancement didn't have to come at the cost of wisdom. In the aftermath, as diplomatic channels reopened and new agreements were forged, the galaxy began to change. Other species, inspired by Earth's example, began to question the old order. The age of imposed guidance was ending, replaced by an era of true cooperation and mutual respect. And in the deep spaces between the stars, humanity's supercarriers resumed their vigilant watch, ready to defend not just Earth, but the right of all species to find their own path to the future. "The stars are for everyone," Harper mused, watching the quantum beacons pulse across space.